Imagine proving who you are online without using your email, password, or even your name. This is the kind of identity of the future, and that's what we're going to talk about today on Emerging Technologies with Warren. Hi, I'm Warren Whitlock. I'm the host, and I talk about emerging technologies. These are the future type of technologies that are going to be coming soon. Things that we don't have quite today, but are going to really affect our life. And in many cases, the proof of the technologies is right here, or it's an emerging type of evolving trend where it's something that you can put to use right away. And this is one that I think you can use immediately. It's from things that have been invented for some time and we're just not using. Let's talk about why you really don't need passwords. We've been taught to use passwords. We've been taught that every time you go to a website, you have to log in, you give them an email or maybe a username, and then you give them your password. And you got to keep track of these passwords. You're supposed to use a hard to guess password, and it's supposed to be different for every website. And they have little programs that'll generate a random series of characters. And first of all, let me tell you this about password. As a guy that's been in technology for 40 years, there is no way that the guys trying to guess your password know whether or not you're using words. The reason why they tell everyone to use alphanumeric with symbols and all that, caps and not caps, and turn your name into a funny series of characters that kind of look like your name. The reason all that came about was to make it so that you didn't use your name, your pet's name, the street you grew up on, your mother's maiden name, things that would be information that either are easy to obtain or once they even crack one password, they've got other bits of information that are going to help them find out other things about you. So, still, don't use anything that is anything to do with your life. And if you do have to create a password, I say make it a sentence that has spaces in it, because that's a space is often not used in passwords. Some password systems won't allow a space, but if they allow a space, you use a space. Definitely use numbers, definitely use special characters, because that means it's a wider range of things that the password guesser has to guess. But the main thing is the length. So if you can say something like yellow horses on a golden plain, and you spell plane Plane anyway, or spell it Plne, that's fine too, or put a number in it. And what did I say? Golden horses on a golden plain. That is a sentence I've never uttered in my life, and now twice. So I'll never use that as a passphrase, but it'll be something like that's very easy for me to remember, very hard for anybody else to guess what it was. Because I guess in something, if you speak more than one language, use some of each language in what you do, make it something that you can really easily remember. I have a system whereby I use some things like that, combine them together, and come up with a unique code for every site that I go to. And based on how I'm logging into it and the date and other factors, that I can do the math in my head and come up with the password. And if I've forgotten it, there's a good chance I'll be able to guess it. But that's not needed anymore. Got off on talking about passwords, but let's get back to the main point. It's been a long time since we needed passwords. Your device that you are watching this on has chips in it. Those chips have serial numbers, can be identified, and there's other things because of your operating system and the way things are handled where you're identified as soon as you log into anywhere. And then there's the cookies left by websites, the other digital traces that if you've ever interacted with anything online, there's some record of it somewhere, and it may include something about you and your device, mostly more like demographics and geographical nearby type stuff, regional information. And not enough to take control of your life over, but enough to identify, and this is what happens when you try to log into a secure service or a streaming service from another country, and they use VPNs to try to get around this, but there's still things like that. You can do a lot of work to try to stay private and anonymize yourself, but in the end, you're sending out bits of information like all those systems know when somebody's logging in with a VPN. I've tried this. I was in a different country, tried a VPN. I logged in. I'm able to get to watch my streaming service, and I'm watching for an hour, and then it tells me, no, you can't do this. They knew. They were able to identify the VPN, my normal habits, where it said I was, that sort of thing, and lock me out. Other times it will work for days without any problem. It's not something I've spent a lot of time trying to do. I'm not out trying to pirate anything, but just in the times of trying to use it. Where those things are secure is if you need to contact your company's server and identify there. But again, what we really need is it's easy to get talking about existing security, but what we really need to learn is a way to tell the world that you are you when they need to know it, and then shut it off at any time. So imagine a system where you can log in with your phone, and as soon as you decide that you no longer want to have those people know anything about you, you push a button on your phone and it erases all contact. And they have no record of any of your identity or what you did or logs or your data, things like that. You might not want to leave money in your bank and do that, but for the most part, you can just erase yourself, and it's instant. And it has to do with something called individual sovereignty. When I own my device and I own the data that's in it, then I should be deciding who gets to know who I am. Passwords are the easy one. We start with passwords because once you figure out how we could use no trust identity, in other words, cryptographic identifiers that say this is this person, and then when you're logging into my server, I know that you are the same person that logged in yesterday. I can track what you do to offer you better services or to know what level of the game you're on, anything. And then when you decide to disengage, you can say you erase my account and everything, all identity is gone. All the records, some are my records because I need to know who logged in and what type of person logged in and how long they stayed. But your identifiable information is gone out of my system. And that's going to occur for everything. These products are available now. It's just that the normal places when you go to log into a streaming service or a game site or shopping have each created their own system, and their system, it depends on the password. I'm using passkeys a lot now. I avoided them for a long time because I wanted the ease of using that little system I told you about. But with passkey, you have an identifier because you've taken the time to get the code over your phone and then logged in on your computer to get those set up. They can't move from device to device easily. Some, my Apple ones can move from one Apple device to another, but for the most part, they're secure in being things that can't be just moved. Somebody can't steal those identities from me. They're locked into the device and use device identifiers to do that. But what about beyond the device? We're using an in-twin protocol that when you log into any of the systems that we are doing, to say your twin vault or one of the avatars we have set up to talk to, anything like that, all the records of that are kept in your individual file. That's on the cloud, but it's on a blockchain and no one else can get to it but you or anybody that has the keys, and they don't store the keys. This is why when you've heard about cryptocurrency being easy to lose, if you lose the password to your wallet, no one else can retrieve it for you because it's safe. No one else, there's just no other way to get to it. You can do things to save encrypted files in a certain way to keep them on your device. Again, it's not a security episode, but the Polygon ID is doing this. They use a decentralized framework so that there are things on their system that'll help you get to where you want to get without anybody knowing that it's you. And this is like a VPN that is just yours. It's not a VPN, it does a different thing, but it's just the identity part is all yours. And so whenever you get a chance, I'd say be looking for these kind of things. It says here, Polygon ID is the next gen identity protocol combining blockchain and zero knowledge proofs. Zero knowledge proofs is that nobody has to know who you are for you to be able to do the proof. And it'll enable privacy preserving digital credentials for Web3 education and boundless transactions. Web3 usually has this type of ID. So if you're playing games of the future using a Web3 virtual reality, any of these things are going to be there. Another one I see here is Disco XYZ. They're building digital identity layers for people, not platforms. I like that line. Letting users carry their virtual verified credentials and reputation across Web3 and AI native apps. So these people are trying these different things. But what I want you to understand today is that soon you'll be able to store everything in one place. And instead of carrying a wallet full of all sorts of different IDs that you have to verify, you'll be able to be verified by the device that you're carrying and the knowledge you have that can unlock things in ways that you determine. I think that's the way of the future. It's the way to make things secure wherever we go. It's a way to prevent a sophisticated AI hacking system from getting to you, because the weak link will be whether or not they can convince you to give them your password or your credentials, however that is designed. But if you secure your own things, no one else can get to them, then it's just a matter of whether or not anybody can talk you into it. One more example of this is there's a UN program, and some others have done programs like this to give IDs. I just heard about one in New York City, the New York ID, to give you an identification when you're a refugee or homeless and you've lost everything. You don't know where your birth certificate is or your government ID cards or anything like that. And reproducing them is essential to be able to get services. If you want to feed somebody, you can give them the food, but when you want to find out where they are so you can help them get into housing or get a job or get benefits that they are entitled to, you need a way to identify which person is which. And that's going to become more sovereign and more able to go with the person. You got to give up some amount of privacy to let somebody know who you are when you need help. But there's a lot of things that ends up blocking. It's just sad to think that there's somebody who, other than giving them a sandwich, there's not much you can do for them because they're cut off from the services. I've heard stories of people that just spend their days trying to get signed up for something that is an essential service that I would just take for granted, that I can sit down on my computer and log into, and I have a wallet full of credentials besides that. There's a lot of people that don't have that. And so this is going to help. I say it's at least 1 billion people in the world that have no kind of ID at all. I think the number of limited ID probably goes much higher. And in the future, we're going to need to make sure we know that. And having a centralized database where we keep track of everyone means that the things such as immigration status and how you voted, and there's a whole lot of things that you don't want to let others know at all, that you can then get verified that you're eligible for something and then have that be privatized to where it can't be misused for things it shouldn't be used for. So ID is going to allow a lot of other technologies to come. We're going to get access to better AI. We're going to get access to the services that are being built on blockchain and so much more. Remember, as these technologies grow, we're growing exponentially. And when they grow together, then it's exponential times exponential. And then if we get several of them together, we're starting to look at things where 10x by 10x is 100x. Wow, we get things growing very fast, abundance for everybody. The future is so bright where we have the ability today, we grow enough calories to feed every person on earth and have food left over. We don't have systems in place to get that food to the right people. The same with housing, the same with water. We know how to desalinate, how to get all the water we need. There is no problem we can't solve. And the technology and the smart use of that technology is going to allow all this to happen. Good people using good technologies, great outcome, and even more so in the future. And the bad people who are trying to do things against us, we'll build the technologies to thwart them too. This is one of them. And so that's been Emerging Technologies with Warren for today. Please share, subscribe, let the world know that you watched Emerging Technologies. If you need to contact me, it's just a comment. Reach out to me on social media. I always love to hear from you. Bye.